Chapter 8 of Start With Why by Simon Sinek is titled Start With Why But Know How and explores the importance of balancing the why with the how in order to achieve success. Sinek notes that while the why provides the inspiration and direction for an organization or individual, the how provides the practical steps and processes needed to turn that inspiration into action. He emphasizes that both the why and the how are important, and that success requires a balance between the two. Sinek outlines several key principles for balancing the why with the how, including focusing on the long term. Sinek notes that successful organizations and individuals focus on the long term, rather than just short-term gains. This requires a clear understanding of the why, as well as a focus on developing the necessary skills and processes to achieve long-term success. Emphasizing discipline and consistency, Sinek notes that achieving success requires discipline and consistency in following the how. This means establishing clear processes and systems, and committing to following them consistently over time. Staying flexible, Sinek notes that while discipline and consistency are important, it is also important to stay flexible and adapt to changing circumstances. This requires a willingness to experiment and try new approaches, while still staying true to the why. Empowering others, Sinek notes that successful leaders empower others to follow the how, rather than micromanaging or controlling every aspect of the process. This means providing clear guidance and direction, while also giving individuals the freedom to make their own decisions and take ownership of the process. Sinek uses several examples to illustrate the importance of balancing the why with the how, including the success of the Wright brothers in developing the first powered airplane. He notes that while the Wright brothers had a clear why, to achieve manned flight, they also had a deep understanding of the how, including the technical and mechanical details needed to build a successful airplane. In summary, Start With Why But Know How is the 8th chapter of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which explores the importance of balancing the why with the how in order to achieve success. Sinek emphasizes the importance of focusing on the long term, emphasizing discipline and consistency, staying flexible, and empowering others. He uses the example of the Wright brothers to illustrate the importance of a deep understanding of the how in achieving success. Chapter 9 of Start With Why by Simon Sinek is titled Know Why, Know How, Then What? And emphasizes the importance of following a clear sequence of understanding, starting with the why, then moving to the how, and finally determining the what. Sinek notes that many organizations and individuals start with the what, focusing on what they want to achieve before determining how they will achieve it or why they are doing it in the first place. However, Sinek argues that this approach is flawed and often leads to short-term thinking and a lack of focus. Instead, Sinek suggests that organizations and individuals should start with the why, focusing on their purpose and values before determining how they will achieve their goals and what actions they will take. He notes that a clear understanding of the why provides the inspiration and direction needed to make informed decisions and stay focused on long-term goals. Once the why is established, Sinek suggests that organizations and individuals should then focus on the how, determining the processes and strategies needed to achieve their goals. He emphasizes that this requires discipline and consistency, as well as a willingness to experiment and adapt as needed. Finally, Sinek notes that once the why and how are established, organizations and individuals can then determine the what, the specific actions they will take to achieve their goals. He emphasizes that this should be done in a way that is consistent with the why and how, and that is focused on long-term success. Sinek uses several examples to illustrate the importance of following this sequence of understanding, including the success of Apple under the leadership of Steve Jobs. He notes that Jobs was able to build a successful company by starting with the why, a focus on challenging the status quo and creating products that were simple, elegant, and easy to use. Jobs then focused on the how, developing a culture of innovation and creativity that allowed Apple to consistently create new and innovative products. Finally, Apple determined the what, the specific products and services they would create, in a way that was consistent with the why and how. In summary, Know Why, Know How, Then What? Is the 9th chapter of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which emphasizes the importance of following a clear sequence of understanding, starting with the why, then moving to the how, and finally determining the what. Sinek argues that starting with the why provides the inspiration and direction needed for long-term success, while the how and what are important for determining the processes and actions needed to achieve specific goals. Chapter 10 of Start With Why by Simon Sinek is titled Communication is About Listening and focuses on the importance of effective communication in building trust and inspiring action. Sinek notes that effective communication is not just about speaking or writing, but also about listening. He emphasizes that listening is a critical skill that allows us to understand the perspectives and needs of others, build relationships, and make informed decisions. Sinek suggests that effective listening requires a mindset of empathy and a willingness to truly understand the perspectives of others. He notes that this can be challenging, as we often have preconceived ideas and biases that can prevent us from truly listening and understanding others. To overcome these challenges, Sinek recommends several strategies for effective listening. These include actively listening to others, asking open-ended questions, acknowledging the emotions of others, and avoiding judgment and defensiveness. Sinek also emphasizes the importance of building trust through effective communication. He notes that trust is built over time through consistent and honest communication, and that this requires a willingness to be vulnerable and open with others. To build trust, Sinek suggests that individuals and organizations should focus on communicating their why, as this provides a clear sense of purpose and values that can inspire others and build trust. He notes that this requires consistency in messaging and actions, as well as a willingness to admit mistakes and make changes as needed. Finally, Sinek notes that effective communication is essential for inspiring action and achieving goals. He suggests that individuals and organizations should focus on communicating a clear vision of the future, and providing concrete steps for achieving that vision. This requires a focus on the how, as well as the why and what. In summary, Communication is About Listening is the 10th chapter of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which emphasizes the importance of effective communication in building trust and inspiring action. Sinek notes that effective communication requires a mindset of empathy and a willingness to truly listen and understand the perspectives of others. He also emphasizes the importance of building trust through consistent and honest communication, and the role of effective communication in inspiring action and achieving goals. Chapter 11 of Start With Why by Simon Sinek is titled When Why Goes Fuzzy and explores the challenges that arise when an organization loses sight of its why. Sinek notes that while an organization's why provides a clear sense of purpose and direction, it is not always easy to maintain this focus. He suggests that there are several reasons why an organization's why can become fuzzy or lost, including changes in leadership, a focus on short-term results, and a lack of clarity around the why itself. To overcome these challenges, Sinek recommends several strategies for clarifying an organization's why. These include revisiting the organization's history to understand its original purpose and values, involving employees in the process of defining and refining the why, and using stories and examples to illustrate the why in action. Sinek also notes that it is important to recognize the role of external factors, such as competition and market changes, in shaping an organization's why. He suggests that organizations should be willing to adapt and evolve their why over time, while staying true to their core values and purpose. In addition, Sinek emphasizes the importance of maintaining consistency and clarity in messaging and actions. In order to build trust and inspire action, he notes that this requires a focus on the how, as well as the why and what, and a willingness to be transparent and authentic in all communications. Finally, Sinek suggests that it is important to recognize the role of individuals in maintaining a clear focus on the why. He notes that leaders and employees at all levels of an organization can play a role in articulating and living the why, and that this requires a mindset of continuous learning and improvement. In summary, When Why Goes Fuzzy is the 11th chapter of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which explores the challenges that arise when an organization loses sight of its why. Sinek recommends several strategies for clarifying an organization's why, including revisiting its history, involving employees in the process, and using stories and examples to illustrate the why in action. He also emphasizes the importance of maintaining consistency and clarity in messaging and actions. adapting the why over time while staying true to core values, and recognizing the role of individuals in maintaining a clear focus on the why. Chapter 12 of Start With Why by Simon Sinek is titled Split Happens and focuses on the challenges that arise when an organization experiences a split between its why and its what. Sinek notes that while an organization's why provides a sense of purpose and direction, it is the what that ultimately delivers results and drives success. However, when an organization's what becomes disconnected from its why, this can lead to a lack of motivation, confusion, and a loss of trust among employees and customers. Sinek uses the example of Apple, which has consistently focused on its why of challenging the status quo and providing innovative products, even as its what has evolved over time. However, he also notes that other companies, such as Sears, have lost their way by focusing too heavily on the what and losing sight of their why. To avoid a split between the why and the what, Sinek recommends several strategies. These include maintaining a clear sense of purpose and values, communicating the why consistently and transparently, and ensuring that all actions and decisions are aligned with the why. Sinek also emphasizes the importance of leadership in preventing a split between the why and the what. He notes that leaders must be willing to make difficult decisions and prioritize the why over short-term results or personal gain. They must also be willing to listen to feedback and adapt their approach as needed to stay true to the why. Finally, Sinek suggests that a split between the why and the what can sometimes be necessary in order to stay true to the why. He uses the example of Patagonia, which has made difficult decisions to prioritize its values, even at the cost of short-term profits. Sinek notes that while these decisions may be painful in the short term, they ultimately help to strengthen the organization's why and build trust among employees and customers. In summary, Split Happens is the 12th chapter of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which explores the challenges that arise when an organization experiences a split between its why and its what. Sinek recommends several strategies for avoiding this split, including maintaining a clear sense of purpose and values, communicating the why consistently, and ensuring that all actions and decisions are aligned with the why. He also emphasizes the importance of leadership in preventing a split, and suggests that sometimes a split may be necessary in order to stay true to the why. Chapter 13 of Start With Why by Simon Sinek is titled The Origin of Why and explores the idea that a person's why may be rooted in their early life experiences and upbringing. Sinek begins the chapter by recounting his own childhood and the influence that his parents had on his sense of purpose and values. He notes that our early experiences shape our beliefs and behaviors, and that understanding our personal why can help us to make more meaningful choices in our careers and personal lives. Sinek argues that many successful leaders and organizations have a strong sense of purpose that is rooted in their founder's personal why. He uses the examples of Walt Disney, who was driven by a desire to create happiness and joy, and Martin Luther King Jr., who was motivated by a vision of a more just and equitable society. To better understand our own personal why, Sinek suggests reflecting on our earliest memories and the experiences that shaped our beliefs and values. He also suggests thinking about the people who have had the greatest impact on our lives and what values they embodied. Sinek notes that while our personal why may be shaped by our upbringing, it is also something that can be discovered and refined over time. He encourages readers to experiment with different career paths and pursuits in order to find what truly resonates with their sense of purpose. In addition, Sinek emphasizes that understanding our personal why can help us to build more meaningful relationships and connect with others who share our values. He suggests that organizations can also benefit from a shared sense of purpose, and that leaders should focus on communicating the why to their employees and customers. Overall, The Origin of Why is the 13th chapter of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which explores the idea that a person's why may be rooted in their early life experiences and upbringing. Sinek encourages readers to reflect on their own personal why and to experiment with different paths in order to discover what truly resonates with their sense of purpose. He also emphasizes the importance of understanding and communicating the why within organizations, as a way to build more meaningful relationships and connect with others who share our values. Chapter 14 of Start With Why by Simon Sinek is titled The New Competition and discusses how businesses and organizations can compete in a changing and uncertain marketplace by focusing on their why. Sinek begins the chapter by noting that traditional models of competition, which rely on price, features, and quality, are no longer effective in a market that is increasingly characterized by uncertainty and disruption. Instead, Sinek argues that businesses must differentiate themselves by focusing on their why, their unique purpose and values that set them apart from their competitors. To illustrate this point, Sinek uses the example of Apple, a company that has been successful by focusing on its why of challenging the status quo and thinking differently. Sinek notes that Apple's focus on its why has allowed it to create innovative products that resonate with its customers and differentiate it from competitors who may offer similar products at a lower price. Sinek also emphasizes the importance of a strong and clear sense of purpose in times of crisis, such as during the COVID-19 pandemic. He notes that businesses that have a clear sense of why are better equipped to adapt to changing circumstances and make difficult decisions that align with their values. Furthermore, Sinek suggests that businesses should focus on creating a culture of trust and collaboration, rather than relying on a hierarchical model of leadership. He notes that businesses that prioritize trust and collaboration are more likely to create an environment where employees feel valued and motivated to contribute to the organization's success. Sinek concludes the chapter by noting that businesses that focus on their why and create a culture of trust and collaboration are better positioned to compete in an uncertain and rapidly changing marketplace. He encourages readers to reflect on their own organization's why and to consider how they can leverage it to differentiate themselves and create a culture that fosters trust and collaboration. Overall, The New Competition is the 14th chapter of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, which discusses how businesses and organizations can compete in a changing and uncertain marketplace by focusing on their why. Sinek uses the example of Apple to illustrate how a clear sense of purpose can differentiate a business from its competitors, and he emphasizes the importance of creating a culture of trust and collaboration in order to foster employee engagement and